Put yourself in position to win big on Kentucky Derby Day with the power of daily racing form. Visit shop.drf.com and get past performances, expert picks, betting strategies, clock reports, and more. Again, that's shop.drf.com. Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, race number 4 at Churchill Downs on Kentucky Derby Saturday. Grade 1 action for fillies and mares going 7 furlongs. It's the Derby City Distaff Stakes. Remember to subscribe to the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest news and analysis. It's an interesting field, Mike, because you've got last year's Breeders' Cup filly and mare sprint winner, Goodnight Olive. She's been dominant in her races. She's won 7 of 8, and she looked good off the layoff at Keeneland in the Madison.
Yeah, I'd like to race in the Madison, Dan. That was another 7 furlong effort. Right off the layoff, they didn't really give her an easy spot. They came right back, a grade 1 race, going 7/8. She kept up close to a solid pace. I didn't think it was a blazing pace in there, but it was solid. She stayed close to it. She won easy.
She's so tactical. She can adapt to any kind of pace scenario. And as we look at the Timeform US pace projector, our friends at Timeform US believes that this race will favor front runners. And the 2 front runners are Travel Column, the 4, and the 1 Hot and Sultry. 2 horses that might be overmatched just a little bit from a class standpoint. The good news is horses like Goodnight Olive, Wicked Halo, who was 3rd in the Breeders' Cup filly and mare sprint, they're not going to be far away. They have speed.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I looked at it too. I mean, I don't want to sit here and knock the 1 or the 4. I actually think the 1's pretty interesting cutting back for this race, Dan. We'll see what kind of trips you can pull in here, but it's not, even a slow pace isn't going to compromise the favorites in this field.
You make a good point about the 1 Hot and Sultry. She's turning back to a sprint, and she's probably at her best at this distance. She won the American Beauty at Oaklawn the last time she was sprinting. In her most recent start, she was simply overmatched. This is the Grade 1 Apple Blossom against 2 of the better fillies and mares in the country in Secret Oath and Clairiere, and they rode her the right way. They tried to just open up a big lead in this short field, and the 2 class masters were able to get her. All in all, she did her best.
Yeah, I agree. The pace was pretty fast, and I like the tactics that they used there. Like, at the end of the day, it wasn't going to matter what they did. Send her out there and go fast and see what happens, or go out there and try and back it down. Either way, she's not going to beat Clairiere. She's not going to beat Secret Oath going that distance. Now they cut her back. I think she's better sprinting. She doesn't have to be on the lead here, Dan, to run an effective race, and she's still so lightly raced. I mean, why can't she start to improve now as a 4-year-old?
Just comes out of her best career buyer effort in 96. I think 7/8 is going to be fine. Joel Rosario picks up the mount for the first time. Goodnight Olive is the number 2 in here. Again, she has won 7 in a row, including the Breeders' Cup filly and mare sprint, including the Ballerina, and including her 3rd Grade 1 victory. This in the Madison, her seasonal debut, and she broke sharp. She was fresh in this race. She was down inside early. Arad Ortiz was like, let's let the speeds go so I can get to the outside. She made a 3-wide bid into the stretch. I think this is a very underrated horse on the outside. Mary Quite Contrary, who's making a run at Goodnight Olive, but Goodnight Olive always has her at bay.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, she doesn't get away from this field. It's not like an authoritative victory here, Dan, but she did everything that she had to do. They were never catching her through the stretch, and you're correct that the horse that was trying to run her down there, pretty good horse and underrated, ran a really nice race there, but just not as good as Goodnight Olive is. And I don't know. I just find it hard to knock her from sort of any perspective, Dan. She's fast. She can get good trips in her races. She can be up close or come from farther back. I mean, I don't know. She's way the horse to beat.
Although Wicked Halo was beaten by Goodnight Olive in the Breeders' Cup, I thought she had some excuses. There were some points in that race where she was shuffled back inside and in tight a little bit, and she came with a decent enough run to finish 3rd without getting to the winner. She did make her seasonal debut at Oaklawn in the Matron Stakes over a sloppy track, and this is a race where Mataree was also making her comeback. Mataree slipped through along the inside on the turn, while Wicked Halo had to go 4 paths wide. Even with the ground loss, Wicked Halo's going to grind down Mataree.
Yeah, just going to stay on a little bit better here and get the job done at the end. And you're right. If you reverse the trips, maybe it's not even that close, but it's at least worth pointing out that Mataree was off of a longer layoff here and actually ran pretty well in her first start back. But no knocks on Wicked Halo. She shows up every single time.
Travel Column, the number 4, the expected pace setter on Timeform US's pace projector. She is a graded stakes winner in her own right. She won the Fairgrounds Oaks as a 3-year-old filly. She ran 5th last time out in her first start off the layoff, Mike, in an allowance race, a race in which she got caught up in a little bit of a pace battle going 6.5 furlongs. I guess she gained fitness from that race. I just wish she showed a little bit more as the favorite.
I mean, I feel the same way about her. We'll see how much she can rebound here, Dan. She started out with a lot of potential. And I know that she did some good things going long as a 3-year-old, but I always thought that she would be better going shorter. And when Mott took over last summer and brought her back going 7, she ran a pretty big race to win that day. So I thought maybe there was something there and she would be a factor going forward. It didn't happen. They ran her in the ballerina. She was no match for Goodnight Olive. I didn't think she ran that well last time off the layoff, so she's kind of lost me.
Number 5 is Mataree. I like her at 7/8 of a mile. I think this outside post position gives the jockey plenty of options, and I think she's versatile enough that she doesn't have to come from way out of it. Now, we saw her slip through along the inside in her return. I thought that was a good race to build up some fitness. She won 3 graded stakes races in a row last year, including the Acorn, although the Acorn, we have to remember, the big favorite that day scratched at the gate and she benefited. I think she's always been a solid filly, and it wouldn't be a surprise if she wins. She just needs to take a little step forward.
Agree with all that stuff, Dan. She was pretty good last year. I think you and I were a little bit conflicted about how good she was last year, but she just kept winning pretty major races for 3-year-old sprinters. So I'm in the position now where I don't want to knock her anymore. I thought her return at Oaklawn last time was a very encouraging performance.
My Destiny was claimed for $12,500 back in 2021. She's become a stakes winner at Delta Downs, going 5/8 of a mile. She's coming off of a win against a weaker company. This is a $12,000 starter optional claimer at Gulfstream Park, but she sat off the pace. She won as the favorite should once she got into the clear. This is a giant step up in class. They're trying to get some graded black type.
Yeah, we'll see if she can do it. It's not going to be easy for her to even hit the board against this field, Dan, just based on what she's done so far. Another one of those horses just going to take a shot here at a major race, and they're going to do it while she's in really, really good form, because she is right now.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Derby City Distaff, a grade 1 on Kentucky Derby Saturday. Mike's going with Goodnight Olive, who is simply the horse to beat based on her lifetime form. Wicked Halo had a little bit of trouble in the Breeders' Cup. I like the way she won last time out, giving up a little bit of ground. She'll be a little bit of a better price, but as you said, Mike, Goodnight Olive, not a lot of knocks.
It's just, yeah, really hard to knock her. And that's why ultimately I didn't go against her, Dan. I thought about putting Mataree on top. I could take a little shot with her just to see if she improves enough here. Ultimately, I chickened out. I put the favorite on top.
2531 for Mike, 3215 for me in the Derby City Distaff on Kentucky Derby Saturday.